The Walt Disney Company fires employees, then hires them back as consultants without benefits. All the time. What's a company secret you can share because you don't work there anymore? I worked for Walla for 15 years. We have recycling bins at the pumps in front of the store in the store. It's single-stream recycling. That means nothing should be bagged. Anytime one bag is thrown in the recycling dumpster, the entire dumpster will go to landfill, and we get charged something like $500. Out of 900 stores, not a single one recycles. None of the glass or plastic or paper gets recycled. None of the cardboard. Nothing. We have a fake employee we transfer all our sales calls to. Let's call him Jack. Our manager got her actor friend to record a voicemail message, and anytime someone calls to sell us toner or warn us about our car's extended warranty, we'll say, "Oh, you wanted to talk to Jack," and transfer them to the fake voicemail. Soon, salespeople would start asking for Jack as soon as we picked up, and that saved time. Some even got really cocky, saying stuff like, "Hey, transfer me to Jack, sweetheart. He's expecting my call." Saved us a lot of time having to talk to them. And if it was a slow day, we can always get a laugh listening to the voice mails people left Jack. At a major insurance company I wrote software for was very big on security. If we needed to make an update, we weren't allowed to remote into the server, even though you physically could. It was just against policy not to make an update. You had to put your changes onto portable storage, show your ID to the security guy, use your key to open the door, get escorted to the server, then they'd observe you via cameras. The login, admin the password, blank, literally no password. I worked for an IT company that provided contractors to large corporations. Upper management would use someone with Exchange server access to read emails sent to client company executives from competitors and adjust bids, accordingly to ensure they maintained their contracts. We used to throw any donuts, bagels, or muffins out at the end of every night at Dunkin'. One week around Christmas time, we would donate the food, but other than that it was all waste, and if we took any home ourselves, we would get charged for it. A few years ago, David's Bridal announced that regular and plus-sized wedding gowns would be the same price, like a size 24 wouldn't be $150 more than its size 4 counterpart. They did this by marking up the regular sizes to match the plus-size prices. I worked for a large school district. Within the last 10 years, outside cameras have become a standard. What the students and staff don't know is that they also record sound, and the principals and upper admin often abuse and use them. Some even get obsessed and will constantly watch and listen for any gossip or drama. Older schools can use intercoms and phones to listen directly into classrooms, as well as public schools have been some of the worst and most toxic places I've ever worked. Used to work in a UK oil refinery, there's only 6, so you can try and guess the company, and the on-site boilers, which are huge and raise steam to 99 bar, had an issue with the inlet guide vanes, basically an arm that moves a fan and controls the amount of air going in. This issue meant that the boiler could be flooded with fuel if not enough oxygen got in, and basically become a high-pressure bomb with a substantial blast radius. Refusing to fix it, because that would mean turning off the boiler, and hence the entire refinery, the solution was whenever they needed to allow more or less air in, they would use a piece of scaffolding pole nicknamed the persuader to move the guide vane, and hence allow more or less air in. You don't need to be a process safety expert to know that a scaffolding pole is not a suitable replacement for a traditional control system. Edit. Since a lot of people have suggested I report this, I know for a fact it has been fixed because I'm friends with people who work there to this day. This was 7 years ago. My old boss would inflate quotes by thousands and get the contractor to discount them at invoice and use the remaining balance as a credit to renovate his own house. The client would have $15,000 to redo a roof, for example. My boss would charge them $15,000 when in fact it only cost $10,000, and then get the contractor to discount him or credit the remaining $5,000 for his own renovation in his own house. I'm pretty sure that is called insurance fraud. I worked at a dodgy UK firm for elderly and disabled people back in the mid-2000s. The racket was selling stair lifts and mobility scooters to old people. They would install a stairlift for PS 3000 to PS 5000, then keep tabs on the customer with courtesy calls until the old person passes. Offered to remove and resell the stairlift for the bereaved family. Sell the stair lift on to the next old person at full price. 90% of the time the stair lift sale would get lost in the admin of dealing with the death/house sale/funeral and all the other goings on after a loved one passes. The family would just forget. If the family did call us, we were instructed to tell them we still had it in stock, but it hadn't sold. Even if they really pressed us for the stairlift, we had a pile of old broken ones in the mill building attic. But who has space to store a 15 pile of railing and chair? I left the company when they tried making me force sales on confused old people. There's a ton of employee theft that occurs at certain furniture outlets. Employee wants a new couch, then just type up an invoice saying this $3,000 sofa was damaged while being moved around the showroom, and it was then discounted and sold for $299. Got a sectional that was delivered but doesn't show up on your inventory sheet. Just take it home and post it on Facebook Marketplace. One guy was even so brazen that he would sell something, then fudge the numbers to make it look like it was sold at a lower price and pocket the difference. For instance, a sofa is listed at $1,000, but it's been sitting for a while, so he has some leeway to offer a discount. Well, here comes a customer and buys the sofa for $1,000. The salesman reports that the customer negotiated the price down to $800, and he pockets the extra $200. That particular guy got so confident that he could get away with anything, that he even started taking cuts of sales that were made with credit/debit cards. Someone comes in and buys a sofa for $1,000 on a credit card. He then writes that the customer came back the same day and complained about a rip in one of the cushions, so he issued a $150 cash refund to please the customer. That dude stole into the $10 thousands of dollars and got away with it for years. When the regional management finally figured it out, they just fired the guy and kept the whole incident quiet. I have worked for a recycler and know others who work in waste management. Most of your recycling is sent to the dump. A lot of people mix trash in plastic bags in with their recycling, and now that most places mix all recycling into one bin, it makes it worse. Once a batch of recycling is considered contaminated, the whole thing is sent to the dump. Plastic isn't nearly as recyclable as the bottle says it is. Metal is the only thing that can be recycled efficiently and cost-effectively. Sort of related, for my job I've gotten to tour different industrial facilities, and one of them worked with recycled plastics. Of what little plastic does manage to get recycled, a significant amount still gets tossed if the batch of whatever they're making isn't robust enough. For example, people love seeing 100% recycled materials on bottles and such because it makes us feel like we're saving the planet. But recycled materials aren't as strong or robust as new materials, which means 100% recycled batches of things aren't always strong enough to serve their intended purpose. Make a batch of 100% recycled bottles, but they're too flimsy? Now you gotta scrap the whole thing. The materials can only be repurposed so many times before they're too worn out to be useful. A blend of recycled and new materials, say like 75% recycled or something, is more eco-friendly because that entire batch is strong enough to be used. Less material ends up being tossed overall.